Okay, so let's move on to module 2. I call it the yin yang fundamentals. So again, whatever learning, we still must go back to the yin yang wu xing. But this time around, I think yin yang is so powerful enough that I cannot finish talking about it. Even if you give me 1 day, 1 night, 2 day, 2 night, I still can't finish talking about yin and yang. There's so much to talk about. So let's move on. I try to pull in whatever is relevant so that we can move on with AOM3. Now in AOM1, if you can recall, I started out telling everyone that in I Ching, because of this 一阴一阳之谓道, this kind of principle, it means that everything, there's always two sides. Okay, two sides. One side is called the observable. The other side is called the unobservable. I hope you all can remember that. So 一切都有两面. Okay, 一虚一实 means yin and yang. Or in simple term, layman term, observable and unobservable. So there are certain things that you can see. There are certain things that you don't really see, but that doesn't mean it's not there. It's still there. And this is a very important principle that we'll be using in the ultimate I Ching persuasion program, because this is the one that will give you the edge against the other party. Okay, so this is the number one principles that I need to refresh you on, because we'll be using this later on in all the other stratagems that we're going to go through. Next principle that we also learn in AOM 1 is that, from far, everything looks straight and easy, but it's actually curvy. 一画开天, remember we talk about 一画开天 and then form the heaven and the earth. And then the 一画, it means the horizon. Okay, but from far, the horizon looks straight. But if you go near enough, if you can go near enough, it's actually curvy, like this water level here. So whatever is in the nature is in our real life living. So a lot of time when you look at a problem, it could mean very simple, straightforward from far. But when you go near, it is actually very troublesome. A lot of things that you have to handle. So basically what it means is look good from far but far from good. So remember this, we have to learn how to adjust our depth of view to look at a situation. And sometimes the direct approach may not be the best way forward, which I'm sure by the end of this program, you will fully agree with this statement that direct approach may not be the best way forward. And I've shared with you, I think in the AM series, about an example of my client who was working at a fast food chain at a counter serving. And then this old man, a bit senile, I think, keep ordering something that they don't have it on their menu. And how do they handle this old man customer? So my client came up with this yin-yang approach. I hope you all can remember. He went back. He told the old man customer that, okay, let me go and see whether still got stock or not. So went into the kitchen, go one round, come out, say, sorry, uncle, no more pork burger. Are you okay with chicken burger? Something like this. So the old man said, okay, something like this. I hope you all can remember. Okay, so this is called yin-yang approach. So don't have to every time go for direct approach, which Western country always like that. Go for direct approach. I don't like you, I just tell you off. This is called direct approach. I don't like you, I just straight away, beat you up. This is called direct approach. So this is, to their thinking is, to win, they must fight. Okay, that means there must be some damage done. But for us, no. Okay, so let's revisit. With this in mind, let's revisit yin-yang. Now, if you can, this chart, I think it's very easy to understand. Every one of us should know this, because yin-yang is very basic. When you talk about yin-yang, I think these are the pairs that, relates back to yin-yang. For example, heaven is yang, earth is yin, light is yang, heavy is yin, rise is yang, sing is yin, up is yang, down is yin, bright is yang, dark is yin, positive is yang, negative is yin, expansion versus contraction, odd versus even. So these are the yin-yang pair that we know when we learn I Ching for the very first time. And when we learn metaphysics for the very first time, when they introduce I Ching, yin-yang, they will bring up this typical chart. Now, when we talk about maneuvering, then we cannot be looking at this one anymore because this one don't really relate or resonate with maneuvering. So we will have to, change. Okay, we have to change, adjust the yin yang because yin yang is applicable to everything, everywhere in our life. So for maneuvering, we have to change a little bit, and this will be the yin yang that we're going to apply in maneuvering. Okay, so in terms of the pairing, yin yang pairing, conventional way is yang because everybody take it as normal. All right, so it's the conventional way that is yang. So conventional way means, for example, if you want to watch a movie, you have to buy a ticket that is conventional. So unconventional means something special way of watching the movie without normally buying the ticket. Okay, so this is unconventional. So unconventional is considered yin. So zhen is yang, qi is yin. So conventional yang, unconventional yin. So there could be a conventional approach and unconventional approach. I know that many people when they hear unconventional, that means like not proper, like very no integrity, that kind of. I beg to differ. So unconventional doesn't mean it's not ethical. Unconventional means it's not normally how it is being done. It's called unconventional. So in the eyes of people who are very straight one, they will take it as, hey, why like that? You cut the queue, things like that. Because not proper lah. Okay, but it's just that unconventional means it's not usually how it's been done. That's it lah. So next is direct and normal is called yang. Indirect surprise is called yin. Like normal means, for example, direct means birthday. On your birthday, for example, your spouse will give you present every year without fail. Then that become normal. That become direct. That become normal. But if let's say all this while, let's say your spouse never give you any birthday present on your birthday, and then this year suddenly spring a surprise on you, that one is called indirect or called surprise, and that one is yin. So same thing with our approach. When we talk about yin yang approach, this is what we want to look at also. Whether this is something that people already expected us to do, our response, is it expected response, or we're doing something that's unexpected response. So it's a yang response or a yin response. So bear this in mind when you talk about maneuvering, in terms of yin and yang. Now confront and defend. Okay, confront and defend. This part here, confront and defend, is one yang, one yin lah. So it's between confronting and between defending. Okay, so one yang, one yin. And the last pair is real and virtual. I'm not sure whether virtual is a good word to use, but in Chinese, it's called 实 and 虚. Okay, 实 means something that you can see, you can touch, is tangible. And the 虚 one is intangible. It can be virtual, it can be intangible. It's like you cannot see, but it's not there. So that's called virtual. So this is the yin part. So basically, when we talk about maneuvering and we want to learn about maneuvering, especially the 36 stratagem, this yin-yang pairing, we must be conversant with it. Don't talk about day and night, and the one that I show you just now, this one. We don't talk about this anymore. Okay, we're going to talk about this. Okay, this is the yin-yang pairing we want to use for maneuvering. Okay, now let's move on. So we know that this whole universe is made up of yin-yang. And from yin-yang, it grow, evolve to become the 8 trigram. And from the 8 trigram, you stack trigram onto trigram, you have the 64 hexagram. And from the 64 hexagram, we have learned from AOM1 and AOM2 that it represents a sequence of the life cycle. And it can represent situation, a unique situation. So each hexagram can represent a unique situation, or conversely, any situation, there could be a appropriate hexagram that you can look at to take reference from. So if let's say there's a situation or a struggle that you're in, that you can find a relevant hexagram, then the hexagram, most of the time, probably you could find a way out. And then that way out is what we call a stratagem. Okay, so therefore, this AOM3 is learning. Once you have that foundation of AOM1 and AOM2 already, in AOM3 is how can you find out what are the appropriate way out, that means a stratagem from the hexagram that can describe that situation. Now, let's talk about art of war a little bit. I don't go into art of war in full. I just want to tell you a little bit about art of war so that if, let's say, you have the interest to explore art of war, go ahead. Okay, go ahead. But you must know that when you read art of war, bear this in mind. Art of war basically comes out from the yin-yang principles. That means when you see how the author, Sun Tzu, write all those strategies and all those thinkings, the thought process and principles, it's always based on yin-yang principles, the yin and the yang, yin and the yang. Like for example, winning without fighting. It's yin and yang already. Right? You get my point? It's winning without fighting. This is already yin-yang principle already. And then what another core thought process that go through the entire art of war is actually hexagram 29. And hexagram 29, if you can recall, it is the water hexagram. 坎为水啊，坎为水啊. So water, why this hexagram 29 has so much influence on art of war? It's because Sun Tzu realized the power of water. Now, water can make someone alive because we need to drink water. Now, water can also drown the same person that the water give life to. Okay, so it is a double-edged sword. So water is very, powerful in that sense. And then water always move effortlessly. Okay, water always move effortlessly. Have you ever seen water have to jump over hoop and loops to travel? No, you just travel where you need to travel effortlessly. So in a war, or relate back to our daily life living, we should also overcome struggles, aim to overcome struggles effortlessly. And that is what I will call the path of least effort. And that's where I've come up with this workshop, the new workshop, I think in October, the law of least effort. Okay, I'll pull, let's not deviate. That's another new program. Okay, let's stay on with AOM3. Okay, so sorry about that. Okay, so AOM, Art of War, actually been influenced by hexagram 29 a lot. But of course, not forgetting the yin-yang principles. Now, come to 36 stratagems. Now, 36 stratagems, the author basically is unknown. Okay, basically it's unknown. Who really wrote the 36 stratagem? Basically, I can't trace back to anyone in particular. But according to legend, some stories, legendary stories, it is by a person called Sun Ping, if I'm not wrong. But never mind. Also called Sun, but never mind. So some gurus conclude that actually there are multiple authors for 36 stratagems. What it means by that is that someone, whenever had a stratagems that works well for a situation, they compile it. So another author have another stratagem that work well, they compile it. So in the end, when they have compiled enough and when they look through, and they throw away certain that looks duplicate to another one, to each other, in the end, what remains behind are the 36 stratagem that can, basically be used pretty frequently and effectively for all sorts of situations. So there you go, we have 36 stratagems. Now, so 36 stratagems, what are the bases? Okay, are the bases. Same thing, you find that out of the 36, when I read through, I find that 7 stratagems are basically being inspired by the yin yang principles. Now, I keep using the word inspired. Later on, I'll explain why I keep using the word inspired, because I see no trace, unlike feng shui, unlike I Ching prediction, that the subject grew from yin yang wu xing, blah 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 blah, and then become a method by itself. 36 stratagem, I don't see that trace, right? But what I see traces of inspiration. Inspiration. That means when they read this yin yang principle, they find that I got inspired by these principles, and I thought that principles is able to apply very well on my situation. So I do it according to the principles, and that how I do it become a stratagem. So that's why I call it the inspiration. Okay, so basically it's like that. And then the other 29 stratagems are actually linked back to hexagram per se. And that total adds up to become 36 stratagems. Is that okay? Am I going too fast? I hope you can follow, because this is just module 2. I'm just going through all the boring stuff first, but at least you know the background. So I just want to say this, that the 36 stratagem, the way I'm learning it, I noticed that it's actually more like hexagram inspired stratagems rather than I Ching evolved stratagems. Okay, Ken? So same thing for you. Same thing for you when you keep on learning AOM 1, 2, and 3, and when you're using it, applying in your real life situation, you may find that, that you may come up with other stratagems from hexagrams, but there's no name that can tie back to the 36 stratagem. It's fine. It's fine. I do that often also. Maybe next time you can name it as the 37 stratagem, 38 stratagem. We don't know. You can compile your own book, a book of stratagems. Okay, so you can do that. So anyway, because this is hexagram inspired, so you can go more than 36. So like for example, what I call it as a hexagram inspired. Now we know computing, right? PC computing, the building block is actually binary, and binary is 0 and 1, nothing more. 0 and 1, 0 and 1, 0 and 1. So this is yin yang, yin yang, yin yang. But does it mean that I Ching produce computer or computing? No, right? But the founder or the creator get inspired from the yin yang principle from I Ching, and from that inspiration came out with this PC computing. So this is called hexagram inspired or I Ching inspired. Okay. And another thing I want to show you is maybe I use a story to illustrate this thing about hexagram inspired. So this is just a legend. I don't know how true it is, but this is just a legend. So we just listen, like listening to a story. Because stories sometimes, I always say, facts tell, story sells. I can tell you facts, but nothing sells better than telling you a story. So today I'm going to tell you a story. Okay, now according to legend, the state of Wei, okay, the state of Wei, this Wei, the state of Wei, send troops, so it's called Wei armies, send troops, launch a full force attack on the state of Zhao, okay, on the state of Zhao. So a full force attack. Now Zhao knew that they wouldn't be able to withstand or fight against the Wei army, because Wei army was simply too strong and powerful. So what they did is they secretly go and seek help from the state of Qi. Okay, ask help from the state of Qi. So the state of Qi, wrong. This should be state of Qi. The king of Qi sent General Tianji to lead an army of 8,000 men to the rescue. So that means that the Qi army, okay, send a troop of army to help Zhao. Now, General Tianji initially planned to attack Wei army directly. So that means join forces with Zhao and then fight against the Wei army. This is his original intention. But his advisor, we don't know who, his advisor sought guidance from I Ching and he got inspired by hexagram 64. And we know 64 is 未济卦. Okay, 未济卦. So let's look at this 未济卦 64. 未济卦 is actually fire over water. And we know that that 未济, no matter how you pull the process卦, you get 济济. And then from 济济, you, what do you call that? You pull out the process, is still 未济. So this is like a ding dong卦. Okay, like a ding dong卦. And in competition means if you're going to fight head on with the Wei army, it doesn't look complete enough. So what the advisor get inspired from this hexagram is that it may not work by just going head on with the Wei army. Might as well go and take out the real fire. Take out the real fire. You see here, no matter what, is water hitting out the fire. So why not take out the real fire? So with this kind of insights, the advisor advised the general to do this. His advisor reasoned that there was no point in fighting head to head against the finest men in the Wei army, since Wei could easily crush them. Right? So therefore, General Tianji took his advisor's advice and decided to attack the fire directly, which is go one big round, go and attack the state of Wei, that means the hometown. The hometown. Now, what happened here is that when the Wei army, I mean this Wei army, heard that their homeland is being attacked, right? They kerbakang pusing and rush back to defend it. Okay, they rush back and defend it. So returning home and exhausted by the forced march, because they got to force march to quickly go back to their homeland to protect. They were so fatigued and tired. In the end, they didn't even notice they were being ambushed along the way. So they made the Qi army, instead of fighting head on Wei army, they give news that they want to attack state of Wei, they mean the homeland, but they ambush halfway. So when they come back home, they rush back home, exhausted, they do an ambush, they kill away, they put out the entire Wei army. So this is how the Qi army, okay, helped Zhao to avert a catastrophe. So this approach later become known as Wei Wei Jiu Zhao stratagem. Stratagem number 2. Wei Wei Jiu Zhao. In English, is called besiege Wei to rescue Zhao. That means go and attack the homeland in order to rescue Zhao. Okay, so this is how it got what I mean by being inspired. Okay, so the art of yin yang maneuvering, in 孙子兵法, it says 兵者诡道也, means 诡道也 means deception. Deception actually may not be a good word to use. It is the art of using the yin to get the yang. If I may put it this way, it's the art of using the yin to get the yang. Okay, so knowing that means the element of surprise, that means the yin element is actually very, very important and very critical that contributes towards your winning. Now in Chinese, in 孙子兵法, it says 攻其不备，出其不意，此兵家之胜，不可胜传也. So what it means is really the element of surprise, and the element of the yin component there, that you always want to use yin to get the yang. The yang means the success. Okay, so next thing, in 孙子兵法, you also say 其出于阵，无阵不能出其. What it means here, simply loosely translated, it means unconventional method, that means the yin method, cannot win without the conventional display. That means the yin yang must be executed as a perfect match, blending and complementing each other. Without the yang display, the yin got no value, the yin got no power at all. Same thing, in I Ching, in AOM1, we learned before that when everything must go in yin yang pairing, and if let's say there's only one side that takes supreme and the other side is no more there, it cannot work, it cannot survive. Same thing here with Shredder Jam. We must have the yang as the normalcy, as the normality that you display to show people, and then we use the yin to get what we want. Now, it sounds like not very ethical, but I'm assuring you that it can be done ethically as long as you know the yin yang pairing that I show you just now about conventional versus conventional, direct versus indirect, confront versus defend, all these things. We can do it ethically, and I'm going to show you how. All right, so that's all. This is the last slide for module 2. And I think I've cleared most of the basic fundamentals. So anyone have any question? Am I going too fast? So I'll pause here for a while. Let me see if there's any questions that you want to pose. If you have no question, perhaps type a no question in the chat box. Then I know you're okay.